Hey, Bobby Manning here. Noa Dalzell alongside. Celtics lose to the Knicks in Game 2 and fall to 0-2 in this series. An unbelievable position for this team to be in. And even more crazy is that they're in the exact same situation in the third quarter tonight that they were in Game 1, up 20, rolling to a win in awesome position, and just squander it in rapid succession with some misses certainly, but also some turnovers, some wacky shots in the in-between area, and then the Knicks busting out for transition buckets and Brunson getting going late again in this game. He hits 2 free throws after Tatum took a lead back for the Celtics late in this game and put the Knicks in a really good position to win this series now. One game ago, we're talking about could this series go longer? Now we're talking about can the Celtics even win this thing, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a big one because, dropping one of your first two at home happens all the time, but dropping both of them and then still coming back, and winning the series is very unusual. And they find themselves now in an actual must-win Game 3, where we know, the odds are now against them to win this one. But even still, I mean, this is a veteran group, and they've been here before, and you sense the level of poise and calm, I think, from Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla, who spoke after this one. And it's a question of whether they have enough to go on a pretty big rally here, and the shooting is going to have to turn around because right now they're shooting historically poor for their own standards, and it's really hard to beat good teams when you're unable to kind of deliver it all on that end.
Yeah, and Tatum's the main contributor to those struggles. Just can't get his own shot off right now. Last game, it's Knicks hedging on him. This game, it's OG just staying on him and shutting him down basically here. And it's pretty hard to fathom that for all of this season we said, where's that Knicks team that was built to beat the Celtics? And now they look like that team. The versatility of Bridges to be able to guard a bunch of different guys. The way that they can help Brunson when he's in trouble out there. Thibodeau's coaching up a magnificent defensive series, and it's throwing Tatum off. But we also saw late down the stretch of this game him have a golden opportunity in the corner and just completely miss it with no one even near him. So he's not shooting well at all right now. That's one of the things you could argue turns around going forward. But he's also not creating any separation for himself. He only drove 7 times in Game 1, and I don't think he drove that much more tonight.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the Knicks for the defensive game plan for sure. But if you in a normal game, they make the Knicks pay for the threes that they were left. I think Al Horford had some golden opportunities. Derek White hit one from the wing that was like quintessential. He always hits these daggers, and he couldn't get one to go. Missed the tip-in layup after the fact. So they had opportunities for sure. The Knicks left the door open on that end, and nothing worked. And it was a pretty significant collapse, being up 20 with 4 minutes to go. And I think you attribute a lot of it to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are the two guys that are kind of supposed to bail you out here. But also, if you look at last year's playoff run, I think a lot of what made that team work is that they trusted the other guys, and the other guys made plays, whether it was an Al Horford 3 or a Derek White 3. And right now, we're not seeing those same plays.
Why can't they get those guys involved right now?
I mean, I think they were plenty involved. Like, they had good looks, and early on, Derek White was one of their best sources of offense. It's just from that 8:30 mark to that 2:30 mark in the fourth quarter, they didn't hit a single shot. Like, that's ridiculous, right? It's a cold spell that it's hard to fathom for a team with so many weapons. And some of that, yeah, I'll tip my hat off to the Knicks, but they had some golden opportunities too.
Yeah, and it's so tough when the paint's that packed because everyone's just going to watch this again. And there are only 43s tonight, so it's not like they were launching again. In fact, I think they probably overcorrected and went to the two-point land too often in this. And that's a concern we had coming in, is that they try to get away from what made them great. And the Knicks weren't happy that they shot 63s in Game 1, and now they get that down by 20 in this game. I think you're going to look back and see a lot of really bad missed twos in this game from Tatum in particular. They forced Horford into those late as well. And the tough part is, when the paint's that packed, you have to shoot over it. So you're either shooting a 3 or you're shooting a tough 2, and they took more tough 2s in this game, Tatum in particular.
And I do think that they passed up some looks early on, which probably, for fans that were kind of sick to their stomach at the 45 missed threes, probably didn't bother anybody too much. But you could tell that Tatum was not reading the game the way that he normally does. There were a couple of concrete 3-point shots that I can remember right now from the first quarter where he did not shoot, and in turn it throws everything a little bit out of whack. Al Horford had one late game, I think the one that ended up kind of breaking this floater, but he had a wide open look top of the key. So I think in a sense, they realized, like, we don't want to make the same mistakes from game one, and we don't want it to all be about the missed threes, but they weren't able to get better looks. And sometimes I think people forget, like, just because it's a 2-point shot doesn't mean it's a better shot, right? Just, it seems like it would be, but they had some tough ones too today.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see where this is going to go now. I don't know how confident everyone's feeling at this point. We'll get into some of the factors kicking ahead in this series. But check out PrizePicks right now. Great time to go over there, build your daily fantasy sports lineups. Brunson, Tatum, all the stars are in action right now. All you got to do is pick more or less on their stat projections, points, assists, rebounds, all of it. And if you're not feeling great about the Celtics right now, maybe go less on a guy like Tatum who's struggling, or think he's going to turn it around, pick more on his projections. So that's all of this going on PrizePicks right now, along with baseball, hockey, and all the rest. Go over there, use the code CLNS for $50 when you play a $5 lineup. That's $50 when you play a $5 lineup over on PrizePicks with code CLNS. So looking ahead now, you go through crunch time in this game. They can't get it done there again. They did get a good look for Tatum, and then run that play again after Brunson made his free throws going against Holiday there. So the Knicks have been a better crunch time team. You feel better about Brunson in those situations than the Celtics here, certainly. A little bit of a frazzled rush possession where Tatum ends up getting blocked by Bridges there. So you don't even want to end up in that situation. So I think what you need to do here is maintain that lead that you have, the 20-point lead. Not slow down, continue to run your offense, maybe continue to run some lineups that are working for you in those situations instead of just defaulting back to the starters or whatever it might be. This was a tough game lineup-wise too, because you really didn't have Porzingis and Hauser was unavailable. So there was a lot going on beyond Tatum's struggles.
Yeah, I mean, from a coaching standpoint, your back was against the wall. Like, their whole thing this year was the versatility, was the ability to run double big with different combinations, was the fact that you had multiple weapons off the bench. And I think right now, you barely have any options, and Porzingis' status is also uncertain. I'm sure Joe Mazzulla has more information than we do, but it sounds like he doesn't even really know exactly what it is that's going on and why he doesn't have the motor and why he has this big crash. And so
they know enough to not start him in this game. Like you said, I don't think it was strategic. I think they knew they weren't going to get much from him.
He plays 14 minutes in this one. I thought the first half stint was pretty brutal.
5 minutes.
And the second half stint was a little bit better, but not enough to convince me that he now feels great or knew what he was doing out there. I think he looked a little bit lost in a weird way, obviously, for a guy.
Couple rebounds given up.
Yeah, and so I don't know what it is, if it's, I really don't know what it is that he's going through. This is a very unusual circumstance, and I want to, treat it carefully. But it's obvious that he's a shell of the Porzingis that they had during the regular season. And so on top of the guys that you're missing Hauser, you have a fraction of who Porzingis is. I think Al Horford had a massive, massive minutes on him in this game, and in the fourth quarter, he played the entire fourth quarter.
Wow,
you could sense
he doesn't do that much.
Yeah, you could sense that it took a toll on him. Like, he wasn't able to hit shots. He was. You don't want, Al's awesome, but you don't want to put the burden on Al like he had in this game. So it just started to kind of pile on, and I think Porzingis is a massive question mark moving forward here.
And they try to keep Horford off those guys too. You could tell that his impact was just deteriorating there, and they didn't feel as good about him switching on to a Brunson late there. It's a lot of pressure that they're putting on him because the Knicks are going to go after that every time. Porzingis, Gren, the comments after the game didn't sound great. Just said there was a crash and it's at a brutal time and it stinks, but you just got to keep going. So he's obviously going to continue to try to play in this series, but how much isn't clear. The most ominous thing tonight, though, for me was like everyone hugging him, everyone just sort of high-fiving him that he could even get in the game. There was some real resignation of the fact that this is just what it's going to be, and we're thrilled that he's fighting through it. Maybe 2 days off helps him a little bit. We just don't know what it is right now. So I think all we can assume is that there's going to continue to be some limitation with him, and he's not the same guy even if he is out there, and that is just a brutal blow when you're already down 0-2 in this series, not to mention Hauser, who missed this game and doesn't look close.
And this illness thing was always weird. Like, he misses 11 games, he comes back for one, went back to the injury report, was questionable for like 2 weeks, never quite figured out what it was. He was frustrated. He turned to Twitter to tell the fans, like, I'm trying my best here. So I think what you saw from his teammates, like what you mentioned, is everybody kind of rallying behind a guy who's frustrated and maybe scared, maybe anxious. Like, I don't know what the emotions are of being like, it's been months and I'm 27, 28 years old, and I think that's how old he is, and still, and I'm not able to kind of fight through this, and this is the moment that he's been waiting for. He did everything possible to be healthy. I mean, he's in better shape, as you've reported, and he had a great year, and his body's kind of failing him in this moment.
And I hate that the fans are turning on him.
I mean, you saw the resignation on his face post game. I think you saw a little bit of it on the bench, and he did say that the organization's been kind of standing by him, and I think that his teammates have been kind of rallying behind him too.
And you know what? The minutes weren't great, but it was good to see that he could get a putback dunk down, and it was really surprising to see him just drain a three on the first try.
Yeah, the three I didn't expect.
The fact that he could do that maybe gives you some optimism that he can at least do a little something there. And he wasn't playing poorly before they took him out. They just want to go back to some of the other stuff.
I don't know that he had more to give. Like, it's possible that at the end of that stint in that fourth quarter, he was like, I got nothing left.
I had so many questions. Like, we didn't want to bury him with the injury, illness, rather, questions there. But I have a million.
It was tough that our first time talking to him since it came back to light that he's dealing with this illness is after this devastating loss, because obviously that's going to be the focus of the questions. But I think we all have a lot of outstanding things that are confusing about the situation here.
So game 3 is in 3 days. They get 2 days off. That helps. It helps that you're up 20 in these games, so it's not like, oh, how can you win these games going ahead? They're a great road team, so I have a lot of reason for optimism going forward that they can get back in this series. Maybe not win at this point. Like, it's a toss-up now. You see it with the odds and everything. I'm torn because of the Porzingis, Hauser injury, illness situations. You don't have the depth to overcome those guys not being there and not being factors, certainly, especially as two of your better shooters and floor spacers. But outside of that, I do believe in this group's resolve, and especially the shooting coming around. This is another game where the shooting just wasn't there, and that, I think, will solve a ton when that starts to come around. But they have to continue to believe in that game plan.
For sure. I mean, the shooting's going to have to come around, and some of that's a little bit out of their control. And they're going to have better poise down the stretch, because that was a hallmark of their postseason run from last year. I think everybody focused on the fact that guys were injured and all that, but they were in lots of battles, and they made big-time plays, and those plays I'll never forget some of those plays on both ends. And they just haven't made plays in these 2 games. And I think some of the line of questioning in the press conference today was they also kind of struggled in this regard during the season at points, that they dropped more clutch time games than they did in the postseason. And it's just hard to compare these things, but you're going to need to see them come up in the clutch, because there's going to be more clutch time games in the series, and they're going to have to win them.
And they've been awful in those situations.
Yeah, they're going to have to win them, and they're going to have to they're going to follow the lead of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but really the difference last year in the playoffs was that everybody else stepped up too. Drew Holiday with the game-saving steal, Derek White with the game-winning go-ahead 3. Like, they had big plays in those series, and we haven't seen any of that right now. And so it's on everybody. It's not just on the stars. It's on everybody that contributes to this team, and they still have a chance for sure. They're not dead in the water, but the odds are definitely against them at this point.
I'll continue to throw some more optimism out there, though. This is a great Towns game. They've limited a 1 3-point attempt through this whole series so far. I think that's a win. Brunson's had some great moments late, but overall they've limited him. The OG thing's scary because he's just been so dynamic on both ends, and he's the one shutting down Tatum, so I don't have an answer for that one. And then Bridges had 0 until the fourth quarter in this game, and those were all defensive breakdowns that led to him getting some open looks and free shots from that baseline area out there. So, like, the defense has been good. Jalen said that after the game. The offense is creating good opportunities that, if they can continue to create, should start to turn around here. My only concern is the depth, and the Knicks aren't that deep either. Like, it's not like they're going to all these different options off the bench. This is going to be 5-on-5, starters on starters. You still have the Pritchard and Cornette pieces to integrate here, and both of them have been good. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Celtics are going to win this series, but there's no reason to think that they can't get back in it.
No, they definitely can get back in it, and I think if you look at the betting odds right now, they're pretty even. Like, people still believe in the Celtics team's ability.
But you believe in the Knicks.
I've always listen, and maybe this sounds kind of like, in hindsight, probably people won't believe me because I did pick Celtics in 5. I picked Celtics in 5 with a ton of respect for this Knicks team, because I've seen how they've battled. I thought that they battled, down the stretch against the Pistons, Jalen Brunson. They have players that have won a college championship, so it's not, I thought the Celtics were going to pull it off.
Should have said 6 probably. You'd still be in play.
No, and the reason I didn't know is because I had so much respect for a lot of the teams they faced in this last 2 seasons, and they beat all those teams in 5. So it was uber confidence in the Celtics team, more so than disrespect towards the Knicks, which probably Knicks fans don't care. But ultimately, I think, I do believe in New York. I think the question with Boston, beyond just the depth, is the fact that a lot of your top guys are banged up, between Tatum's wrist and Jaylen Brown's knee and Drew Holiday's hamstring. We don't know how big of things those are. One of those things might be completely irrelevant. All of them might be very relevant behind the scenes. Guys have alluded to those things being relevant. So it's you're banged up, and you're more limited in who you can play, and your top guys are not at 100%, and that's that's a tough combination.
So you think the Knicks got this series now, but how long is it going to go?
I don't know. It's hard to pick a number right now, but I'm gonna say that it leans New York for sure. Grabbing 2 games on the road, it's tough. So I hope the Celtics can prove me wrong. I hope they can. I think this team has the ability to make history. It would be history. Only 3 teams in NBA history have come down from dropping the first 2 games at home and gone on to win that series. Drew Holiday on the Bucks. He's made multiple comebacks that year. That team that won a championship.
This team came back 0-3.
Right, and I think that if there is, and Jalen Brown said it post-game, I like that line a lot, but if I was going to be able to select a group of guys to come back from this deficit with, it would be this group. I believe him, and I agree with him that they have the people to do it, but it's going to be an uphill battle.
I think it will go 7. I don't know who will win that game, though. Let's see who's left at that point.
At that point, I pick Celtics if it's gone to that point.
Let's see who's left at that point. Injuries, already a big part of this series. Hauser missed today. We'll get an update on his status going forward. They say day-to-day. Porzingis day-to-day as well. Played 13 minutes in this game, and it was a sad sight to see just how limited he was out there. And we didn't get great answers on why here. So that, along with the 2-0 deficit, obviously shouldn't make you feel great right now. But this team has been one that can come back and has come back in this situation before, and probably is even better suited to do so now. But it is a great, just relentless Knicks effort on the other end too, and I'll give them respect for that. It's been surprising how great their game plans have been, how hard they've played, and just how amazing Brunson's been. He's been the best player in this series.
Yeah, and I honestly think it hasn't even really been about Brunson. Like, as much as he's been great and he was key down in that fourth quarter comeback, it was about OG in game 1, and it was about Mikal Bridges in the fourth quarter of this game.
And Towns tonight.
I'm going to give it to those 2 guys, though. They were X factors going into the series, and they are the reason. They are the difference maker here, because I do think the Celtics game plan has been pretty good on Brunson and Cat. It's the other guys that have been the variables here.
Screw it. I'll go Celtics in 7. I got the confidence in them, but again, the illness, the injury gives me pause here. So it's going to be a long battle if they're going to get it done here. We'll continue to track all those developments, and then we'll be in New York for the big game on Saturday. Season on the line, really, for the Celtics in the afternoon. 3:30 tip-off for that game. We got practice tomorrow. We'll be there with all the updates from Joe, and I'm sure we'll hear from Jason Tatum as well, who didn't speak tonight due to a nice fire alarm that hit us right after the game ended here. So we'll have that for you tomorrow. Check out Noah's You Got Boston podcast coming tomorrow as well. Check out the post-game show from tonight. Show PrizePicks some loves, code CLNS, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way.
Let's slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke an hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke